Bugaboo The Flea was developed by Spanish team Indescomp SA, which probably means something in Spanish, I haven't checked. It was published by Quicksilver, who churned out Spectrum games in the early 80s with what I'll kindly describe as a scattershot approach to quality. Bugaboo was, at the time of its release in 1983, pretty well reviewed, however. Crash magazine gave the game an overall score of 92%, following a review that featured such superlative quotes as, "The keys are well positioned and easy to use." Okay, so game reviews in the 80s were a little different, and so it seems were games. Bugaboo The Flea is one of the last games I remember playing on my ZX Spectrum before it blew a gasket and decided it didn't want to live anymore. I'm not sure that was the game's fault, mind. I think it had just had enough. This would have been the early 90s when I played it, and Bugaboo by this point would have already been close to 10 years old. Yet, I fell in love with it. I fell in love with it and I hated it, and it made me laugh and it made me frustrated, but most of all, it did something different to anything I'd ever previously played, and it did it well. So what is that something? Well, strangely enough, there was a bit of a contemporary renaissance for games like this quite recently. Games where you're given a seemingly impossible and frustrating task and required to push through the ordeal if you want to feel that satisfaction of winning. Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy and Jump King are two indie titles of recent years that take the core concept of Bugaboo and, outside the control scheme, don't really add anything that Bugaboo didn't already do. And I'm not claiming that Bugaboo's the first game to use this kind of gameplay mind, there's probably others, but without doing any research at all, I'm going to claim that this is definitely the very first game to have ever done this. But what is this? What do you do? You move left and right. Well, more specifically, you jump left and right. You are a flea, after all. Your goal is to get to the top of the stage. The objective is as simple as you're ever going to get. There's only one map, there's nothing to pick up, there's no time limit. So what's the catch? Jumping left and right isn't quite as simple as it sounds. You hold down the relevant direction and a meter charges at the bottom of the screen. The lower the meter, the smaller the leap. The higher the meter, the further you'll fly. And at a greater angle. And that's it. The game, in effect, makes the task of controlling Bugaboo the game itself. That and the landscape you're trying to traverse are the key things to deal with here. If you jump too high, you bang your head and fall down. If you land on the edge of something, Bugaboo will fall down because he's an absolute moron. Your frustration with Bugaboo will grow and grow and grow because the only thing that's stopping you from reaching victory in this game are your own mistakes. Oh, and this dragon. I don't like this dragon. If you get caught by this thing, you're instantly dead. And it's an absolute pain in the arse because most of the time you'll have mapped a specific route in your head, but then this ridiculous thing turns up and I just hate him. The dragon feels like the one and only thing that the game didn't really need. Like the developers felt a game without an adversary would perhaps bore some people or make things too easy, but it goes against the core concept of the game, that being you versus yourself. That's all Bugaboo is, to be fair, ignoring the spoilsport dragon. It's just you testing your own patience and will and ability over and over again. You make a mistake, you fall back down to the start, and you try again. You get stuck in a corner, you try to correct yourself, you move too far, you fall down, and you try again. It's incredibly simple, it's frustratingly rewarding, and it always feels on the cusp of doable. It always feels like you're just on the edge of maybe. And look, let's say I'm talking to one of my friends and I said to them, "Hey man, you should try jogging, it's really good for you, and when you start off it might seem quite tough, but you'll get better and better at it with practice. I know you've been pretty down lately and I mean it, this could be really good for you." And they say, "Okay, yeah, that sounds good. I've been meaning to push myself out of this rut. I really want to try and better my own life, and I think jogging might be a good way to do that. Thanks, mate, seriously, thanks for thinking about me." And so your friend starts jogging, and you can see the gradual improvement over time. They're getting better and better times, and there's just an overall marked improvement on the performance. They're in a better place mentally, there's a certain joy in their step that's been missing for a while. They've improved themselves, and they know it, and that shines outwards on everyone they meet. So you say, "Hey, look, you've been doing really, really well at jogging. I saw this advert for a 5k race. I really think you should go for it. You've been pushing yourself so hard, and honestly, I'm really proud of you. I believe in you, man. I think you could actually win this thing. And then you're out there on race day, you're stood in the bustling crowd as your friend gets ready. You can see the spirits are high, they're stretching their legs and getting ready for this big event, and they've been working towards it. A whistle blows and everyone lines up to get ready for the race. The crowd is buzzing with anticipation, and you catch your friend's eye. They smile at you and you nod back at them, knowing that all that effort, all that self-improvement has led to this. And then a fucking dragon eats them.